Good afternoon, YouTube Pipe Smokers. I thought I'd share with some of you. You may find this interesting. Many of you know, I work in the transmission business for a living. I started when I was 16, and I'm now 57, so that's 41 years in the transmission business. And this is in front of you here. This is what's known as a valve body. This is out of a Ford Explorer, like 2004 and up. The name of this transmission would be a 5R55W. And this is what they call a valve body. Each valve or each worm track fluid travels to get to the point it needs to go to apply the different clutch at different times, which is controlled by a computer nowadays with solenoids that's on a separate plate that would be over here. And the modern day transmissions are pretty sophisticated, even the older ones, but these more so. Lots going on. This particular unit's a 5-speed, but each of these valves, and you use a pick like this to see if they're free, and then we use vacuum testing to make sure. A lot of the newer transmission, these valves oscillate, so as they oscillate, even though there's oil there, they wear out the bore, and if they wear out too much, that's why transmission failures occur. And if a piece of debris gets stuck in one of these valves and stops it from stroking, then you get a situation where you get a slip or it doesn't shift. And when you think about that, it takes one little speck of dirt in the wrong spot to ruin your day. In the case of rebuilding, you have to be very clean, very meticulous. But it's a really amazing piece of machinery, because there's a lot going on, and a lot can go wrong. And with all that being said, they're pretty reliable. So some of you may find this interesting, some may find it as boring as watching paint dry, but anyway, that's what I do. I'm a rebuilder by trade. I rebuild occasionally. I do have a guy that rebuilds for me. I oversee a lot of the operations, but diagnostics nowadays is a complex job. We have sophisticated equipment such as scan tools that tell us a lot, and nowadays engine performance affects the transmission tremendously. Like, for example, there's a lot of systems such as General Motors that use cylinder deactivation to get better fuel mileage. Sometimes when that has a problem, it feels like a transmission problem, but it's not. So it's interesting work, very complex, very stressful. There's always a problem to deal with. Not only to making stuff work, but parts are a major problem. Not so much as getting them. We have transmission part suppliers, but a lot of parts are made in China. A lot of parts are inferior. There's always a cost versus worth factor. You can't be a parts changer because parts are very expensive. For instance, that valve body in front of you, if you had to buy that valve body from the dealer, that particular valve body is probably like $400 or some dollars, and that's just one piece of the puzzle. So you have to be able to diagnose and fix it and make it last using minimal amount of parts, because if you had to change every part in the transmission, people couldn't afford to pay. So it's a juggling act, to say the least. Plus there's competition, so you have to be competitive. And then this industry is battling what they call the big box builders. A lot of you may have heard it, such as Jasper or companies like that. they build like an assembly line type of setup, so they're using minimum wage people to rebuild transmissions in mass amounts, and they have a few guys that do what I do that work there, but for the most part it's minimum wage people putting together transmissions, and they ship them nationwide, so now everybody can be a transmission guy. Basically a general repair shop can order a transmission from Jasper and throw it in. What they can't do is be as competitive as me, because they now have a middleman and they have a tougher time diagnosing compared to somebody like that just does transmissions. We do other work in the shop, but 99% of our work is transmission work. We do standards, automatics, foreign, domestic, you name it, we do it. Fairly successful. It's been tough at times with the economy up and down, and it's interesting work. I enjoy it, but I don't enjoy the stress all the time. And I'm here 6 days a week, 7 in the morning to 5, typically. And there's always something to do. There's always something breaking, equipment-wise. Equipment's very expensive. We have scan tools. I must have about $80,000 worth of scan tools. Probably $150,000 in tools, lathes, milling machines, special flushers that just flush a cooler, because transmission goes through a radiator, the bottom of a radiator. That has to be flushed out. That machine's $8,000. It runs all day. We have 2 of them. They run constantly to clean a cooler. Some coolers, like in a Jeep and some of the Fords, takes them 8 hours before they come clean. Many shops don't have the flusher because they don't want to pay for it, and they only blow out the lines, and you can't blow out the lines and get them clean. You need that flush machine. It's hot oil that does it. Cycles back and forth, reverses. It's all automatic, and it's a key to doing a good job. But anyway, I'm rambling now. But I'm sure some of you guys will find that interesting, and thank you.